Hi, it's Terry from T&D Travel Partners. Happy Mardi Gras! Tonight, Dan and I are going to Port Canaveral to celebrate Mardi Gras on Exploration Tower with Carnival Cruise Lines. So we're pretty excited about that. As many of you know, Dan and I met on a Mardi Gras float in New Orleans when I was stationed there, and we were married in New Orleans. So the whole culture of Mardi Gras in New Orleans is pretty special to us. So we're pretty excited, and as you can see, we really do it up. So I hope you're having a great day. Today, we're going to talk about travel protection. And I want to kind of share a personal story with you. In 2018, I had booked between 8 and 10 cruises for Dan and I for 2019. And I didn't buy travel protection, I'll be honest with you. I figured we traveled a lot, we'd never had any problems, so I just didn't buy it. And then in September 2018, and I do need to tell you that the cruises that we booked were mostly like 4-day cruises, so they weren't really big, not big investments. But we did have one 2-week cruise, a land and sea package to Alaska. And then we also had a national convention that we were going to go to that was a fairly extensive or expensive booking. So we did have those 2 larger bookings that we were committed to. Anyway, we didn't buy travel protection. And as you know, in September 2018, Dan was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma. And of course, our world went upside down in the space of 24 hours. And for the next 6 to 9 months, he was in chemo and a lot of treatment. And even after a chemo treatment, there's a period where he has to stay away from crowds because he can't be exposed to germs, his immune system's shot. And so we had to schedule all of the rest of 2018 and all of 2019, all around his cancer treatment. And as a result, we had to cancel the trip to Alaska, the convention, and 6 of the cruises that we had scheduled. And guess what? We took a killing. All right, we lost our deposits. We lost, any cruise we'd already paid in full, we lost the majority of it. So we lost quite a bit of money as a result of not buying travel protection. Now there is travel protection for alarm just came on. There is travel protection that you can buy, like if you travel a lot like we do, for the whole year, so you don't have to buy it piecemeal. So that is something that we obviously now have to look at. But last year, we learned a big lesson, not to forego travel protection. When you stop to think about the price of it, whether it's just for one cruise or one vacation package, or you buy a whole year's coverage, either way, the price of the insurance is much less than what you would end up losing if you have to cancel. And it doesn't make any difference why you have to cancel. I have people, unfortunately, who have had to cancel because they had a death of their partner. And still, without travel protection, you would lose the deposit if you cancel. Or if you bring someone in to go with you instead, you have to pay the name change. And that can be anywhere from $200 to $250. So either way, no matter what happens prior to your departure, you're going to take a loss if you don't have travel protection. I have heard of horror stories. People getting over on a cruise. I have a friend that on the cruise first day tripped by the pool, on the ladder of the pool, and broke her foot. All right. So she had medical expenses. A lot of the insurance carriers do not cover you once you leave the United States. So she had her medical expenses. She did finish the cruise, but of course she was in a lot of pain. So she had to have rent some special adaptive products to help her get around. And she had to pay for all of that. She would have had to pay for all of that out of pocket had she not had travel protection. So that's a big, that's an example. This is one of the biggest ones. People who fly into their departure port. You can't control what happens with the airlines. And I know we just recently came back from sailing on the Conquest out of Miami. And a lot of people came in from all over the country. And the weather was horrible up north. And so people were having terrible delays. And as a result, a lot of stress for those who didn't, well, a lot of stress. And even if you have travel protection, if you think that you're going to miss the boat, that's pretty stressful. But add to that the fact that if you do miss the ship, you're not going to get reimbursed if you don't have travel protection, even if it's the airline's fault. That's just one more thing you don't want to have. So let me, and the other thing I will always tell you that if I've booked you and you are flying in to catch your ship, I pretty much require that you come in the day before and get a hotel so that you're in the departure city, you're relaxed, there's no way that you're going to miss that ship. If there's any delays, you've already accounted for them. And I ask people to sign waivers if they won't, because I want to make sure that you don't miss the ship because of a delay. And that's whether or not you have travel protection, just because, like I said, that added stress before you get on the ship, that's not the way you want to start your vacation. So anyway, let's talk about travel protection and what it covers. Obviously, it covers cancellations. And that, depending on the protection that you get, it could cover it for any reason. It could cover it for covered reasons. Some will even cover it, like in Dan's case, where he has a pre-existing medical condition. There are policies that will cover that if we have to cancel at the last minute. So that's one of the things. And I do want to give you a caveat before I go any further. I am not an insurance salesman, so I don't sell insurance. I will offer you the travel protection that is either offered by the cruise line or the travel supplier that we're working with, or I will give you quotes and put you in contact with travel protection providers that are outside of the suppliers, okay? So that they can answer your questions, because I can give you a broad idea of what protection can cover, but all in all, you need to talk to, if you have questions or need any clarifications, you actually need to talk to someone who's a licensed agent. And that's not me, okay? So, like I said, it does cover cancellation depending on the policy. It could be for any reason, pre-existing conditions or specific conditions. All right. Another one is trip interruption. So if something happens, like if you are on let's say a cruise, and you get a message from home saying that someone's passed away, maybe one of your parents has gotten sick suddenly, and you need to stop your trip and go home, travel protection will help cover all those expenses as well. And that's a real peace of mind thing, especially if you've got family at home that have medical conditions. You want to know that if something happens, you could get home right away. As I said, give me an example of my friend who fell and broke her foot. It does cover your medical expenses. And sometimes that might mean transportation back home. You do not want to be in a foreign country and be dependent on their medical system. You want to be able to get really good medical care. So you may be able to get stabilized in the ship's medical facility, and that may do well enough to get until you get home. And it may be that they can give you a prescription and you're going to be fine, and that would be covered by your protection. Or you may need to fly home, and so that's another thing that would be covered with travel protection. That would be a big benefit to you. All right, you do not want to get stuck in Mexico and not be able to get home and not have the money to get home, and be trying to get people from the United States to send you money to get home. So just having that would be a big thing. If you miss the connection, like I said, if something happens and you're flying in and you miss the connection, your travel protection, the airlines, they don't care, all right, let's face it, but the travel protection would help you with that. If something happens and there's a delay. So let's say just recently we had a situation where one of the ships thought that they might be delayed getting back in because the weather was so bad and the captain wasn't sure he could bring the ship safely into port. That, for me, I'd say, okay, that's extra time on the ship. I'd be happy. But if I lived in Chicago and I had a connection and I had to catch the plane, within a certain number of hours from the time I got off the ship, I would be stressing big time. And if I miss that connection, in most cases without any kind of protection, you're definitely going to be on the hook for that. So your travel protection policy will cover any trip delays. And then what happens if you lose your baggage? All right. I told you last week during our talk that someone had mistagged their luggage for the cruise that we were on and had printed and attached the luggage tag for an upcoming cruise and not the cruise that we were on. Well, you know, the porters don't know what's going on. There's probably 3 or 4 ships, especially out of Miami. There could be dozens of ships going out of Miami on the same day. When you get to the pier, there is just thousands of people throwing luggages at the porters. They're grabbing it and they're putting it on based on what's coming in, and then they're sorting it and putting it into the proper ship's bins so it can get on the right ship. Well, if it's mistagged and that ship's not sailing that day, they've got no clue where that luggage is supposed to go. So can you imagine getting on the ship and you don't have any luggage? You may have a little bit of carry-on, but most of us don't carry enough, enough clothing or supplies. So if that happens, your travel protection will cover that as well. So as I said, travel protection is always optional, and you have the right to deny it. I do require that you sign a waiver saying that I have advised you that that travel protection is available and how much it is through the supplier. And then you have the option, if you don't want to go through the supplier, to ask me to get a quote from one of the other travel companies. And of course, like I said, I'm not an insurance agent, so you'd want to refer any of your questions to an agent, either through the cruise line, through the travel supplier, or if we go to a third party, to that third party insurance company. But it's really important to take that in consideration. You know Murphy's Law, if it can happen, it will happen. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, well then, good for you. But you know what? If you're going to travel very much, there's a real good possibility that it could happen. I didn't think it would ever happen to us, and it did, and it really bit us in the butt. So make sure that you at least give it a consideration. If you have any questions that are not really refined to the ins and outs of the insurance itself, let me know. If I don't have an answer, I will reach out to one of my suppliers and I will get you an answer. So that is it for our Travel Tip Tuesday. We're going to be doing this every Tuesday. I will do a video blog on some kind of a travel tip. So make sure that you like it. Make sure that you ask questions or do any comments. I will put the links to our Facebook VIP squad, our Instagram account, our Twitter account, our Pinterest account, and whatever else I can think. Oh, my website. Yeah, you should visit our website. So I'll put those in the comments section. Make sure that you subscribe so that you'll get, and turn on the little thing that says notifications so that you'll know when I've uploaded the next Tuesday travel tip. And until next Tuesday, happy Mardi Gras, everyone. See ya.